So now we have show card being typed. So let's go do client app real quick. At the top, do @flow. The first thing it's going to say is, I don't know what module is, like many of you did. And that's because it has no definition for that. So I'm going to go show you how to create your own definitions. So inside of the flow type directory, I create a new file called types.js. This is going to be a place where you create types that the rest of your project can use. So if you wanted to use module in multiple places, this is where you would do it. So we're going to do @flow up here. And there's a couple ways of doing this, but we're just going to say for now declare var module hot, and it's going to be accept path string and callback, which is going to return void, and it itself returns void. So what we did here is we declared a new type. So this is basically acknowledging like this is going to be a global variable. This is how you interact with it, right? So it's going to be an object. It's going to have a method called, or it's going to have an object called hot. And the only method that we acknowledge on it is called accept. And it's going to take a path, which is a string, and it's going to take a function that returns void, which means it's not going to return anything. And then it itself, except the function itself, returns void. Any questions about that? So now we can use module.hot.accept anywhere in our code, and Flow is going to know about the types that go in and out of it. There's more to module. I don't remember what's in it, but if you needed to use more things, you would just come in and annotate this a little bit more. So now if we go back to client app.jsx, hopefully, well, let's see if Flow has figured it out. Yep, it has. Is that a lint error? Sometimes it's tough to tell the difference. No, it's cool with it. Yep, okay, it's fine. Again, sometimes flow type can be a little bit slow to update with Sublime. Any questions about type definitions? A lot of times I just put all the types in one file because I usually don't have enough types to warrant make a separate file for each type, but that kind of falls to your discretion. I usually only end up typing like 5 to 10 objects, and that's fine. Okay, let's go to landing. And we're going to do @flow. And guess what? No changes. It's just opted into the type checker, and it's already good to go. So landing's all checked and good to go. And what else do we need to do? JS here. We did search, we did landing, client app, app. App needs to be typed as well, so we're going to do /flow up here, and that should be good as well. So something that's going to be really cool that Flow just kind of gets you out of the box. If I start saying something like, hey, I'm going to pass in something not real. Is it this the way to do it? Yarn flow. Nope, not the other way around. So you can pass in things. But yeah, here like in props, I could say like props.thing. and it's going to give me sometimes like, hey, you don't have any props for this, so I'm not going to let you do this, right? So it's going to be constantly checking your React and your props and your state. Like a good way of also visualizing this, something that would not otherwise be caught. So if I go to search.jsx, I have search term right here. But if I try and say like this.state.search term what's something that's not on the string protocol? Well, let's say this was 5, right? For just a second, say it was a number, and I try and say .to uppercase. It's going to say, hey, you said you're calling to uppercase. That's a string thing, not a number thing, so that's going to fail. And so your flow typing is going to start failing. The other thing is, notice right here where it says this.setState, it's trying to set that state to be a string. It's going to say, you're calling setState with a string here. This is a number. You're going to mess things up if you give this a string. How does it know that? Well, by doing state like this, it's going to type your state implicitly based on the initial strings that are, or the initial things given there, right? So I didn't tell it that search term was a number. It just knows that, which is pretty cool. So now I change this back to a string and everything's fine because all of that works with strings. Does that make sense? So this is going to catch issues that you wouldn't otherwise see. So again, this is why I say like it is work to get Flow and TypeScript up and working, but I guarantee you it's going to save you bugs. This just eliminates an entire class of bugs. Like even if I said like this dot state dot search term dot to uppercase, and I did it lowercase like that, this would totally fly, right? In the sense of this is going to make it past lint, this is going to make it past a bunch of different things, but it's going to get caught a lot sooner by flow types like, hey, this isn't a real function. So these kind of fat finger or like not remembering that the C here is capitalized, all that class of problems gets eliminated by using a type checker. So it's pretty awesome. I'm a fan. Yeah.
Have you used it in production?
Yeah, Netflix uses Flow. I would say, well, and they use TypeScript as well. It depends on which team you're on. But I know Facebook has like over 50% coverage on their Flow for their entire code base, which is crazy. I would say Netflix's code coverage was lower than that. But where we found great success is that when we would export components to other teams, we would just ship along with them some Flow typings. And so when they were using and consuming those, they were going to be assured that this is how it's supposed to work. Yeah.
Greg's asking if all the code from flow typed types.js should be checked in.
Yes. Yep, it should be. I think that's the recommendation off the repo. But I mean, if you can use flow type to install it as well, so you can probably ignore it as well.
And the npm folder too.
I think so. I think that's what they recommend because, like, as those files get updated, even if your code is basing itself on broken types, like not broken types, just maybe outdate types, you want to be explicit that you want to opt into those upgrades. It's not like npm where you're assured that if you pull in this version, you're getting this version 100% of the time. It's not so robust because it really is just a repository full of types. So I believe the recommendation from the Flow team is to check in your types and then update them yourself.